Let's freaking go. So here's the thing for anybody watching this. I know a lot of people hate this game, and there's a lot to hate about Starfield, but there's also a lot of good stuff about Starfield. And so what this podcast, or whatever we want to call this, is going to be discussing is the good and the often bad in Starfield. What I think is indisputable is that it is has some of the best looking graphics of any Bethesda game. It has some of the best character animation of any game. It has some of the best gunplay and some of the best combat and AI of any Bethesda game. And now when we get onto story and writing and stuff like that, I know there's some issues, but there's a lot to like about this game. And so let me just get right to it with introducing our guests here. So we have Liam Patton joining us from the Discord. Liam, do you want to say anything?
Hello, my name is in fact Liam Patton. I will not be turning my camera on, but hopefully my voice will be plenty.
Okay, nice. All right, and Giga Gamer Dad is here as well. I'm just gonna call him Luke.
Howdy.
All right, dude. Let's see your bro. Show everybody your the Starfield briefcase.
Oh, now I'm gonna have to get up.
Oh, you have to get up. Oh, don't worry about it.
I mean, it's like right there. Don't worry about it. Second.
Yeah. No, don't worry about it. I thought it was within arm's reach, and you could just grab it.
I mean, it's not even across the room, so.
He pulls out a Razorback and blows the camera away.
Oh, I have the STL files for that, by the way. I want to 3D print. Dude, so obviously it comes with the case.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking at.
Dude, I was like, it looks like a child's lunchbox. I was so close to,
so well made.
Dude, I was so close to buying this thing. I was like sitting there on eBay looking at it. I was like, I need this. I need this thing.
That's how I got it. I bought it off eBay, and I owned the game originally. I bought it on Xbox, a $99 one. And then after playing it for like the 3 days early access, I was like, I gotta own the collector's edition for this. I also have the Xbox Series S cover.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
All right.
So I got everything for it: the headset, the controller, everything.
Okay.
Just sick. If I'm gonna collect one game, this is it.
Yeah. No, dude, I've definitely enjoyed a lot of my time with it. All right, so now that introductions are out of the way, let's just like get right freaking into it here. And like I said, for those of you joining us now, I know a lot of people like to hate on this game, and I don't care. Get mad, be real mad in the chat, but there's things to hate about this game, and there's a lot to like about this game. So we're gonna kind of talk about it all today. But the first question that I want to ask you, Liam, is talk about a specific moment this game was really working for you.
So I got a big one and I got a small one.
Okay.
And the big one is the battle between UC SysDef and the Crimson Fleet. And the first time I ever played that, it absolutely blew my mind. It was a It's the first time I've ever played a game that had the scale of combat with the storytelling depth of a Bethesda game, and it was just fantastic. I loved it the whole time.
And you're talking about where you're like you're doing space battles, and then you're back on the ship, and then you're kind of like jumping. There's kind of this like this conflict going on in like multiple places at the same time.
No. The final battle at the key.
Oh, okay. That's just it's just air combat.
No, the final battle at the key had me just sweating on my couch. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then the small moment is the first reveal of terrormorphs. The first time you encounter one in game. That one was like, I play a lot of Alien Isolation, and that absolutely knocked it out of the park for me. The later part of the terrormorph thing I didn't like very much, but the beginning of it, peak horror storytelling. It was fantastic.
You mean when you first saw the alien?
When you first encounter it and you see it kill that whatever the livestock animal is, it was horrifying.
Right. Yeah. All right, Luke, what do you got?
All right. So the thing that really clicked for me was actually like the shipbuilding, to being able to go out, hijack a ship from somebody. Like I was wandering a planet and just the ship come out of nowhere and landed maybe 100 yards away. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's go check it out. The moment I realized I can get into it and then sit in the cockpit seat and be like, well, these colonists are about to have a bad day and fly off into space.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is what I've been waiting for. I was like, this is great.
Yeah. No, yeah, I bet I remember the moment where I realized that you could because you do it on a mission where you shoot out the engines and then you steal the ship and then board the ship, and it's like, kill the crew. You have to kill the crew and then steal the ship if you want it. And I remember when you first did that for a mission, and then I realized, oh shit, you can do this for any ship that you can like take
anybody
over.
You want.
Anybody you want. And
a wolf realizing it's in a flock of sheep.
right. Dude,
UC lost a lot of ships, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Dude, it's a shame they don't let you like take over the like one of those cruisers. I mean, I guess you couldn't. They would just vaporize you like one of those huge like one of those huge battle cruiser ships.
Like the Vigilant?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's mods for that.
Yeah. No, but it was one of those moments where I was like, Todd, you did it again, you bastard. Like it was one of the first truly just fun moments that I had in the game where I was like, oh fuck, that's good. And then just doing it again and again, and that it never got old to me. Like boarding a ship, and it was even better when it was in like low gravity and everybody's like floating around, and you're like, you blast somebody with a shotgun and they just fly back against the wall. And like, oh dude, like the low gravity.
Oh my gosh, you accidentally just triggered my.
That was great.
Dude, the low gravity fights in this game are just so fucking good. But yeah, so
unless you got a minigun, then it's not.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so for me, talk about a specific moment where the game is really working. Yeah, it's gonna have to be boarding ships. I'm gonna kind of talk about this more later, but as I was kind of reflecting on Starfield, it's like I think people have gotten turned off by like there is a lot of like mid writing throughout the game, but there's also some incredible quests, and I have to say the 4 faction quests, where you infiltrate the Crimson Raiders, UC Vanguard, Ryujin, and the Freestar Rangers. To me, I wish that those 4 had been like the main quest of the game, because I wasn't a huge fan. I don't know about y'all. I was not a huge fan of the main quest. But those 4 faction quests, like they had choice and consequences. UC Vanguard, I thought was really incredibly written. And just, they gave you like an interesting kind of moral conundrum at the end of each of them. But anyway, we'll get into that more in a second. So everybody's kind of answered the first question here. So dude, let's just like get right into I think what was kind of a big problem people had with this game. And I want to ask y'all, and I spelled this wrong, did the way you navigate the game world work for you? And what are some of the challenges with the Bethesda game in space? And let me preface this with kind of 2 other slides here, just talking about, obviously, Fallout and Skyrim and all of the Bethesda games, you're on a rectangular plane and you're moving from point to point in such a way that you encounter other things that are going on in their world, and all of their games have been made that way. And now that we have what people have derisively called a loading screen simulator, where you jump between planets, you're not exactly going to have that. And so anyway, I'll get into this more in a second, but did this bother you guys?
It didn't bother me one bit.
No, I loved it.
Yeah. Okay.
It worked for me.
Yeah. Is it like, so I think a lot of folks have said
It's it's a fact of video games.
What do you mean?
It's a Bethesda game, that's for sure.
Oh, dude, this is the most Bethesda. I think. Sorry, go ahead, Luke.
I was going to say, for loading screens in general, people that don't realize when they were playing Skyrim, you had a loading screen every time you entered a dungeon, every time you entered a house, every time you entered a building. Yeah. It may not have seemed like it had a lot of loading screens, but that's because the load times are so quick. And that's the same way with this. Right. Because I play a lot of like space games, like Elite Dangerous and their loading screens are locked behind kind of a warp type of thing, but they're still there. It's just a trick that developers
like
use.
Destiny.
So, it's still there, but you just don't realize it's there. The difference is, I got a pretty picture to look out for the few seconds that I'm gonna wait. Yeah, sure, why not?
Right. We should probably talk about everybody's Bethesda experience. Luke, are you pretty big into the Skyrim games?
I've played everything: Skyrim, Daggerfall, Morrowind. I played all the Fallout games. I've even played the 2 Fallout games that weren't created by Bethesda.
Okay.
Before people ask. So yeah, I'm pretty knowledgeable about Bethesda. And before, I always consider myself more of a Fallout guy because most people fell into one of those 2 categories.
Right.
After Starfield came out, that's definitely changed.
Liam, what Bethesda games do you like? When you talk about like role playing, a lot of people said that you couldn't role play in Starfield, which I think is ridiculous. But
that is the dumbest take I've ever heard, because that's absolutely all I do in this.
Yeah. But dude, it's like I can kind of see what they're saying a little bit with like you could be a bigger asshole in New Vegas. You know, like there was often more asshole options, and I wish that I had an asshole. Like there were times where I really wanted an asshole response and like a Starfield dialogue, and it was like, hang on, let me jump forward a little bit to the specific thing that I'm talking about. So there was a point where Andre just says, we're in like a funny situation, and these were my options. It was like, there's no way humans were responsible for that. I'm putting my credits on Magic Pixies, like dumb joke. I didn't see a visitor center or pick up a brochure, if that's what you're asking. Like, it's just like corny jokes. And it's like, instead of making, but yeah, it's like, sometimes I wanted to be an asshole in Starfield, and it was like the game didn't give me an option to be an asshole, you know?
I definitely agree. And I feel like a lot of the more specific dialogues actually happened when you had a background that fit that. For instance, I'm role playing as a space scoundrel this time, and I can get along better with other space scoundrels, and it's kind of like a witty, dickish kind of response back, and they're like, "Oh, you're one of us."
Oh, wait,
things.
Is space scoundrel it's like an attribute?
It's a background in the beginning when you create your character. Like I said, I've been role playing. Like, I've role played as a soldier. I've role played as the space scoundrel, which is my favorite because obviously Crimson Fleet. What else? The space medic, the combat medic. That's what it is, and a few of the others. But I keep like gravitating back. Like, the reason why I start new characters, because I'm like, okay, I don't want to role play this anymore. Oh, the Bounty Hunter. That's another one.
Right.
And I just go back and I'm like, okay, let me role play again as something else. And the Space Scoundrel's been my go-to lately.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but you didn't. So, as far as like, I guess, did it bother you? Or Luke, let me ask you this: since you played a lot of Skyrim, did you feel like there was a noticeable downturn in the quality of writing, coming into Starfield compared to Skyrim?
Okay. Because I've played a lot of Starfield as well. I've noticed that a lot of writing isn't actually spoken within the characters. There's a lot of like background things that you need to be paying attention to, like the monitors for story or the slates. Like that first place that you land in on Crete to attack the pirates. The reason why it's all jacked up is because they had a terramorph in the facility. But I didn't know that my first few times playing through, because I was like, you know what? I don't care about reading this. I want to play. Right. And then finally, like after my third character and landing on Crete, I'm like, okay, let's take my time, look around, start doing things. And as I was reading through, they were experimenting to find out that heat leeches evolved. And then I made the connection to what's his face underneath the UC, underneath New Atlantis. He probably sent a kill team out there to take him out, or tipped off Crimson Fleet to eliminate the facility, because they were coming close to finding out what happened on what's it called? The city I'm blanking on. The one that the Terramorphs destroyed.
Oh, yeah, the main United Colony city, Jemison.
Yep. Jemison. Not
or Jemison's the planet, I think.
No.
New Atlantis.
Well, it didn't destroy New Atlantis. It destroyed another city.
Oh, that's right.
Terramorphs destroyed.
Liam, do we have you?
Hey, can you hear me again?
Yeah.
Perfect. There we go. I'm sorry about that. My system just completely crashed.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
No, Londinian.
Okay. Was that
Londinian was awesome.
Dude, could you go visit Londinian?
You did in the main storyline. Or not the main storyline, in the UC storyline with the Terramorph. Yeah, you had to get You had to get the most badass Vasco type of unit in the world.
That's right. Yeah.
Superman.
So okay, quickly, Liam, before you jumped off, you were talking about you like New Vegas, or I guess that's what is your experience with Bethesda games? Did you like Fallout 4?
I do Fallout 4 like that one friend does cocaine. Not very often, but when it's time, it's time.
Yeah. When it's good, it's good.
I do. I study a lot of the lore of Bethesda games. I like their storytelling and stuff. I haven't played most of them, but I know a lot of them, and I really like the world building and everything.
Okay. Yeah, but just so we can move on from this question, y'all didn't. I assume y'all didn't have y'all felt like new opportunities. Did it bother you that you weren't? Something that I noticed a lot of people were complaining about is they would land down on a planet and they would assume, because this is a Bethesda game, you can just walk off in a direction and find like handcrafted content, because you could do that in Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, but you can't do that in Starfield. You have to kind of go to the cities, and they really did a good job in the cities, I think, of you like overhearing stuff and it would pop up in your quest log, like just because you heard something. But did that bother y'all at all that you couldn't wander off in a direction? Because I think you just find procedural stuff, right? If you just wander off. Nothing
functional in the game, like mechanical, how the game works. Nothing bothered me one bit.
Yep.
I think what a lot of people don't realize is, all the Bethesda games are on one map, but the interactions that you have when you're walking from city to city are procedurally generated.
Yeah.
It's no different than going to these other planets. The only difference is now I'm going to another planet that has procedurally generated stuff, when all the Bethesda games have always had procedurally generated content. Like, it's something that nobody pays attention to.
Like the guy that wins the lottery in New Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
He comes and finds you, or no matter where you are. It's not something that's like a placed thing.
Oh. Yeah, what was that, Luke? What was the old Elder Scrolls game where like it's an absolutely ginormous map and everything was
Daggerfall.
Daggerfall? Yeah.
Daggerfall, yeah. That was free on Steam a little bit ago.
Yeah. And I guess the procedural stuff in Fallout 4 would be like random mutant spawns, occasionally some of the events like people coming up to you. Like, remember there was a guy who came up to you that looked just like you in Fallout 4. And definitely the stupid Radiant quests.
And there's like ambient fighting. Like you'll be walking through the street and you see like a vertibird shooting at a bunch of raiders. It's
right.
There's a lot of stuff that's not hard baked.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so moving on here. So it's like, well, let me ask y'all this. Would y'all have been disappointed? So I kind of understand why they did the procedural generation thing. So that they did that so that they could create kind of a No Man's Sky like world where there is, landscape that goes on endlessly forever. Do y'all think it would have killed Starfield if they narrowed the scope a little bit, and like when you landed on a planet, you have like a small map that you can explore? Would that have ruined the game for you?
Apparently I have the fairly unpopular opinion that Starfield did it perfectly. They have, yes, it's a loading screen simulator. Most good video games are loading screen simulators.
In case you didn't
just going to point that one out, guys. Most good video games do have a lot of those. But I don't need a giant open world to explore. If I wanted to just walk off in any direction and find weird stuff, I'd go out my front door right now and walk 10 miles.
Yeah. Right.
I want a game that gives me a large enough area to not be cramped in, and a small enough area to, have an entertainment dense time. I don't want to be
right.
I don't want to walk 30 miles. It's the main reason I have a hard time playing New Vegas. I want to get there and get stuff done. And Starfield does that perfectly.
Yeah. I like that word, entertainment dense.
I was going to say that's not an unpopular opinion with me because I fully agree. Like looking at the games that you have here, The Outer Worlds, love that game. One of my favorite games.
Right.
Chock full with loading screens because it's a loading screen every time you go to a different planet. Same thing. Go into a house, same thing. Mass Effect, all loading screen.
Oh, yeah.
I played a ton of No Man's Sky, and what took me out of it was it felt kind of arcadey. Like the combat really wasn't. There is combat, but it just didn't feel like I wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was more of a sandbox. Yeah, I can go do what I want and do anything, but there's very like a loose story there. I wanted something more meaty, something to actually dive into, and Starfield definitely hit that with its quests and the shipbuilding mechanics and a lot of the other minor details. Like it had it all.
Right. Yeah, and I do think so. Down here on the screen, I pasted in the map from the first planet in Outer Worlds, and it's like there's no exploration happening there. Like you can see the 5 houses on that planet very quickly, and then you're like, okay, I mean, it is kind of nice to know, okay, I've seen everything here, I can move on. But as far as creating like an endlessly replayable game, it's definitely not the way to go.
It was the choices that changed Outer Worlds. I played it a second time. It did completely something different. Like the writing was great. Who needs a big map when you're there for the writing? Right.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on here. Question number 3, was Starfield an effective role-playing game? Were you able to role play the way you wanted to?
I think so. Like I was saying earlier, like that's why I dived into this, was because of the role playing aspect. Mm-hmm. I like to pick a background and I like to role play that background. Mm-hmm. Like I've done the Bounty Hunter, which is one of my favorites as well. I just go to the mission board, pick up a bunch of bounties, go out, do my job, and come back, get paid, sell all their weapons, build my ship, go right back out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now with the Trackers Alliance stuff, like that, it kind of feels like it is. They're incorporating another faction, a very minor faction, but it feels like I'm a Mandalorian. It's great.
That's pretty cool.
And so, Luke, you're saying the end game for you in that is like, I'm just finding new cool shit. I'm finding cooler guns, cooler stuff, building up my ship. Like the long-term goal is like just amassing cool stuff.
Yeah, I quit playing like the main story after like the third or fourth character. Like, I get saved from Barrett. I'm like, cool. I'm taking your ship, going to turn in your space rock, going to do my own thing. That's it.
Right. Yeah. Liam, what about you?
My problem is that I have like, whenever I play a game, I role play as myself in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually very often run into difficulties in games because the depth of, my excitement, whenever I think of a game like this, I think, what would I do if I was given these opportunities and I was actually here? I'm not like, I don't really role play as someone in universe. I look at it as like, what do I think that a real person would do here? How would
you don't think it's fun? You don't think it's fun to role play as somebody completely different from yourself?
Sometimes, but not so much. I like to look at the world for its depth as like, in real life, if you punch somebody in the face, you're probably going to get your ass kicked. But Starfield was very pleasantly surprising because it really left a lot of room for that. It really left a lot of like, Starfield gets really heavily into theology and like into stuff like that. I don't like how few options of dialogue there are, but I appreciate that people bring up the whole, hey, we're talking about the nature of the universe. I like the fact that you can engage in a conversation like that with the characters and, really dig into it a little bit. The answers are mostly dumb, but I like that you can at least start it.
Right. Would you say like Sanctum Universalum was like Catholic, and then you joked earlier about you think the Serpentine one is like Islam, and then there was one that's definitely atheist.
Yeah, the Enlightened.
Yeah, the Enlightened are like definitely atheist. Yeah. So there's those three. I'm trying to remember. Was there another religion? But
the Hunter, I guess.
I was gonna say, not that I can think of. I mean, the Starborn are kind of like the real Enlightened, but they count.
They're the real assholes. The Starborn.
Starborn.
We'll need to talk about the ending of the game, but I was like, I still don't understand the ending completely, but like, I was trying to think, are they trying to say that like the Starborn is some kind of like Christ figure? Is it like some kind of like a, you know what I'm saying? Like, is it some kind of like a god or
much worse than that?
It's so much worse.
It's so much worse than that.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
boy.
Okay,
we'll get there.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
Let's not talk about the ending yet. Okay, so role playing. Okay, so Luke, you like to play. You find the fun in imagining yourself in this universe.
Oh yeah, I still play as myself. I mean, one of my favorite perks or traits to get is the kid stuff perk.
Right.
Because I like to pretend like I have loving parents. Like, oh, my dad won a gun and he's just gonna give it to me. Oh, that's great, Dad.
That's great.
Retiring. Yeah. Oh, good for you. You got me a ship. Oh,
right.
Beautiful.
That is cool. You, Dad. That's pretty cool.
Love to pretend that I have good parents in this game. That was such a random thing that they added. That was actually pretty cool. Was that you had parents?
It was the coolest. I thought I picked it my first playthrough. I'm like, I'm gonna pick this all the time.
Yeah.
Part of the reason, and I want to justify a little bit why I play Liam Patton in video games. It actually really sort of opens up an opportunity to have a personal emotional connection to the characters, because I'm not pretending to be someone else. So when I play, I'm not playing guy controlled by Liam Patton. I'm playing Liam Patton.
Right.
And so when I talk to the characters and I have these like plot lines and storylines, I don't feel like I have this mask on between me and the game world. I have, I'm me. I'm playing what I would do. And so when a character yells at me and I go, you know what? I'm going to kill you. It's a real, like, I'm going to beat your ass right now. And so it really deepens the story for me a lot to have, like, you know, it's not a character liking what I think they want me to do. It's a character who is responding to what I would actually do. It just feels really different for me. It's a very pleasant gaming experience.
I have another take on that as well, considering
that I'm a weirdo.
No. I think you hit the nail on the head for the same reason why I play. I'm a Marine Corps vet. Like, I was military police. Like, I've always gravitated towards the moral choices in video games just because something inside me was like, do the right thing. And then finally, when I started playing Starfield and I started experimented, and I was like, you know, being a pirate seems like the coolest thing in the world. And I just kind of went into that, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is where I was meant to be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but you're right. Like, I like playing as myself, and what would I do in this situation? But I like to put constrictions on myself by what my background is as well.
Right.
So every time I roll a new character, I'm role playing as a different part of me.
Right.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. That's awesome.
Because I like if I play Elite Dangerous, I'm a space trucker. Like, I'm going back and forth making profit. Like, that's an option in Starfield. You got to work a little bit harder, but you can do it.
Great movie, by the way, Space Truckers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so y'all are going to think I'm a scumbag because I do not role play as myself. I role play as, because I'm like, it's interesting, Liam. I like the reasons that you had for why you said that, because you're saying it deepens the emotional connection. Whereas the way I play video games and the way I play RPGs is like not being myself and not making any of the choices that I would make, because like I'm not an asshole in real life, but it's like I kind of like want to be an asshole in a video game for some reason.
Come work with me in my job. That will change, I promise you.
As soon as you get the option to quick save, believe me, I'm no stranger to quick saving and then turning into a monster. But
Oh wait, you quick
I totally
save?
understand
no, I just roll with it.
I understand the like no consequences. I get to just shoot that guy.
Yeah. But so I found that like, dude, New Vegas. And like, you know, I'm married, but you know, I'm gonna have a companion, and I'm gonna romance somebody. You know, my relationship with Sarah was great. You know, and like, it's a video game. It's an alternate world. Like, I'm married, but I'm not cheating on my wife because I have a, you know, companion in a video game or whatever. It's stupid. You know.
Wait, you guys can romance Barrett?
Yeah, it's a. No, dude, I romanced Andreja.
By the way,
dude, Andreja is next for me. I chose Sarah this time, and like, Sarah's a little bit of a Boy Scout, and she's kind of boring, but I thought she was hot. And next time it's definitely gonna be Andreja because she seems cooler.
Sarah's my go-to. Andreja is cool, but Sarah stole my heart.
Yeah. No, but the other thing is the one of the things that I love about New Vegas is it will take like super serious situations and diffuse them with like just an occasional ridiculous like dialogue option that'll make you laugh out loud.
Yes.
And
ice cream.
Yeah. And
what?
And I was showing Liam, I think you had disconnected, but I pulled up like just how boring and like sometimes the dialogue can just be really boring in Starfield, and it's like dude, Andreja had said something here, and you're just making like lame jokes instead of like actually saying something edgy and offensive and inappropriate here, which I thought
disturbing.
Like just something random that was like offensive. They're like, oh no, all of our answers have to be like safe and politically correct, and like it's just like, I don't know, it just kind of gets boring sometimes, because it's like, if this is an RPG, and you know, it's like, I guess what I'm saying is, it seems like the writers of this game wanted you to play as a certain kind of person most of the time, and they wanted you to be like a good person most of the time. And I don't think they necessarily gave you a ton of options for being like an asshole or being bad or being a jerk, you know? So that was a way that I felt like
a key thing for me is comedy. And like, I'll just put it simply. If anybody in Constellation heard the jokes I was telling my wife while I was playing Starfield, they would kick me out of the Constellation immediately.
Right.
Because,
Right.
The opportunities for jokes are spectacular, but the jokes that they give you to tell the characters are like,
dude,
oh boy,
dude, they're so corny.
Dude, come on.
Yeah. I do want to point out something though about the writing. You're looking at two different companies here. We're talking about New Vegas. New Vegas was Obsidian. Obsidian isn't Bethesda.
Yeah.
I mean, Bethesda's always kind of had that kind of writing. I mean, if you look at Skyrim, if you look at Oblivion, if you look at the Fallout games, like New Vegas was the first that had that kind of wittiness, and it carried over into like the Outer Worlds. And I'm really looking forward to Avowed because I believe it's going to be there as well.
Yeah.
But I think that also is developer specific.
I see what you mean. One of my favorite lines in all of Fallout 4 is when you're talking to the Institute Courser and he says, I assume you're here for me. Who are you? And if you pick the sarcastic option, your character goes, I'm here to pick up a calzone, 2 pepperoni and a calzone, names fuck you. Like,
I remember that.
I understand that like a lot of it's a little more boring, but I didn't get that option ever in Starfield, and I wish that I did.
Exactly.
I think they had more fun with it because it was a voiced
a voiced character,
and they couldn't do it this time around because they got so much criticism the last time.
One of my favorite dialogues from New Vegas is when you there's the boomers who are no relation to the actual generation of the boomers, but the boomers are like some people with military equipment in the northeast part of the map, and they're close to the Crimson. I think it's called the Crimson Caravan. Yeah, and there's like this couple that's in love called Jack and Jill or something like that, and they look at each other through binoculars all day, and they're like, oh, I wish if you could only like relay a message, maybe we could get to know each other. And so you carry messages back and forth between these two lovers, and they're like, oh, and I'm finally going to get to meet them and all this stuff. And then the game gives you the option to tell one of them, go to her, run, and you see her go off. And of course, if you've played the game, you know that she's immediately bombed by
blown to pieces.
She's immediately blown to pieces, and it's that just like dark humor that is so hilarious that that I felt was missing from Starfield. Okay, well, do y'all remember the ship, the beach, the tropical beach planet, and then there was
Paradiso?
That ship. Yeah, Paradiso. You had the option to blow to just like completely blow the ship up.
Yeah. Crimson Fleet pirate blows it up. It's great.
Oh no, is that what you did?
All the time. I was like, they were a day late and $1 short. Let's detonate this thing.
coming in to collect the refuse afterwards.
I'm taking all your guns now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, but it's like it was hilarious for them to spend like a good hour or probably an hour building up that society. Like, oh, and look, they're completely cut off, and you see how complicated the society is, and there's all these great people a part of it. And I did love
that's why I blew them up. I'm like, they'll never make it today.
They'll
Grandpa. I'm not teaching you how to use any of this new stuff.
They'll never make it. This is for your own good.
Or the indentured.
The future is now, old man.
Option. Yeah.
Would you say, Luke?
There's an option to turn them into indentured servants on Paradiso as well. And I've definitely done that once or twice. Like,
oh my
maybe
God.
I can make some money out of this.
Yeah. So I guess there were very few options to have dark humor in Starfield, but I guess there were a few. And so I was just going to give an example of a hilarious. So, did you ever kill somebody in front of her?
Like just a random murder?
Yeah. Did you ever murder somebody in front of her?
I don't really. A lot of the time I don't do that.
Liam was a Boy Scout. We get
it. Goody two shoes. I sell tons of drugs and steal guns from people. All right. I just don't murder people.
I just don't murder people. So I loved how like absolutely what a toxic ass like dude you could be. So you kill somebody, you literally kill somebody in front of her, and she's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And your responses are, "I think you need to take a breath and calm down." I have no idea what you're talking about. Hey, I'm sorry. Whatever it was, we can fix it. And I'm not in the mood for this.
The last one is like the best. Like, I'm just gonna walk away.
Yeah,
Just like whatever, bitch. I'm gonna just go. Go keep killing people.
Yeah. And so she is like, "What the hell is your problem?" And then the next of the options are, "We should talk this through instead of fighting. Seems like it's a good idea to put some distance between us. And can we just forget about this and move on?"
Same thing. Talk to the hand. I'm gonna walk away.
And then she says,
"Cry me a river, Andrea."
Yeah. And then she says, I can't read that. I do not know what I'm trying to look past what you've done, but it is difficult. And then finally, the final options are something like, "I'm sure there's a way we can both walk away happy. If I could take it back, I would. And there's nothing I could say to excuse what I've done." So just being a complete toxic asshole.
Just
dude
ass.
Yeah.
She was House Varun. Like, what's the matter at this point?
Yeah, don't you guys like murdering people?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Did you, Liam? Did you do her the quest with her?
Yes, and it was fantastic. It
Really?
was fantastic. It's actually the main reason that I like her so much.
Huh?
Because that joke I just made, "Your House of Varun, don't you guys like this?" You start to see in her character that she doesn't. Like, she totally is okay with killing people, but like the reason I like the character so much is because she starts to separate from it. She starts to like zoom out a little bit and look at like, holy shit, I'm in a cult. And
so
she's a very deep character.
Okay, so this is a total spoilers cast. So can you kind of sum up? Can you tell like what? Because that was one of the few quests that I missed out on. What basically happens, if you don't mind telling us?
Oh boy, let's see if I can remember it.
It has. I remember it ends with some guy.
Yeah. So people who leave the Varun homeworld or home system or wherever it is, they're sort of excommunicated Spartan style. It's a come back holding your shield, or don't come back at all. You go out, you go on your jihad, and they're not allowed to contact Varun again at all. They have like a handler. They have a sort of an overseer, someone who goes out and follows them, and it's like their CIA, their FBI agent who's like paying attention to how they interact with the world outside of the Varun systems. And it's
what is their objective? To like kill people to appease their god or something?
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
And if you talk to the Varun zealot that's imprisoned at in Jericho or Jemison,
New Atlantis.
New Atlantis. Sorry,
you have to talk to her for part of the main story.
Yeah, when you talk to her, one of the things is she'll say something like, "We kill not to appease the Great Spirit, but to prove that we are willing to." And something my wife laughed at was, my wife heard that line and immediately went, "You don't have to just kill people; you gotta like it too." And and I was like, "That's exactly what it is. It's like this stereotypical, ridiculous, cut the head off the infidel for fun and pleasure. Like, come on, guys, what could you possibly write a more funny bad guy?" Anyway, but I like that Andrea, she starts to see that like your actions and the way that you are interacting with people may not necessarily line up at all with that. And so she starts to have this sort of crisis of personality and crisis of faith. And depending on how you play her quest line, you can get her to turn on the person who's like handling her, and she's excommunicated from House Varun. And it's a really like seeing this character become like a free person, become someone who's like her own self as opposed to a member of this cult. And it's extremely, extremely cool.
And I guess part of that was they had to make it sort of comically evil
Yeah, you had it has to, in order to make the player seem like a good person, you have to make the thing that they're compared to be like
Even worse.
completely inexcusable.
right. Comically
Makes
evil.
me wonder how Shattered Space is going to be if you take her back to the planet.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I'm thinking about that now.
Yeah. I wonder what they're gonna do with Shattered Space.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Because I mean, we've already got multiverses. Like they've already jumped the shark, and they're like Marvel now. We've got multiverses. So like, what else can you throw at us?
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, Sarah was a plant in one of them, and that was the funniest opening I've ever been in. I'm just sitting there like, Sarah, is that you?
No, yeah.
What's her name's up on the balcony? Like, what are you doing? I'm like,
yeah.
And obviously not talking to a plant.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. In case nobody saw that, she was an actual plant. You show up and she is a potted plant you're talking to.
Yeah, she's sitting on like the rails, and you're like, you're looking around, nobody else is there, just this plant.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Okay, so we know, or I think we would all agree that there is definitely some mid writing in Starfield, but like, what were the, Liam, you just mentioned a great one with House Faroon, but what was like what were some stories that really resonated with you guys, and made you think, wow, this is not a mid video game?
Where to begin, to be honest with you?
Yeah.
Because in one of my playthroughs, my headcanon was I didn't have a background. I wanted to try and find a purpose. So I kept going through all the main storylines like, oh, I want to find somebody who I can follow. Right? So I started with like the Vanguard quest line. Go kill the Terramorph, save the universe essentially, and find out that the government's corrupt as hell. Like why am I gonna follow this? So I jump ship,
right.
You know, go do the Freestar quest line. Government's corrupt as hell. Like,
well, that was a corporation. Well, that was a corporation that was corrupt.
I mean,
he
was on the Council of Governors.
Okay, yeah,
but I mean, Freestar Collective. Like, it was just one of those things. He did it for profit.
Right,
corrupt as hell. I'm like, okay, fine. Maybe Ryujin has some redeeming qualities, and that's when I start to slip into like, oh, everybody's morally wrong. So finally, I ended up on the last part with the Crimson Fleet. Like, you guys need another? Like,
interesting.
I have become a misanthrope. I would like to help prey on the weak and vulnerable.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, the writing was so good at like opening the character's eyes and realizing, everything sucks, and I'm just stuck in the middle of it.
My favorite. So, the UC quest line.
Yes, so good.
So I have this.
Now wait,
the UC quest line.
You said you feel like it falls apart at the end, or did
me?
Yeah. Or okay, I guess I imagine that. Never mind. Sorry, go ahead, Liam.
So the UC quest line so perfectly encapsulates how I feel about Starfield as a whole that it really, really is important to me from a storytelling perspective.
Yeah.
The UC quest line is delightful. It's got intrigue. It's got horrifying monsters. It's got crazy stories of government like betrayal and secrecy. It's got space combat. It's got planet combat. You have to defend a city from a terror attack. It's got it all. It's fantastic. Except the Terramorphs suck in combat. They're just not that scary if you have a shotgun that's good.
Oh yeah.
If you have a good weapon and you know how to play the game, they're not scary.
I've killed them at level 4.
Yeah, they're crap. I mean, as far as what they look like and as far as what they sound like, they're really cool. But gameplay, they just suck. They completely suck.
Yeah.
And the reason that hits me so hard for Starfield as a whole is that I was telling my wife this earlier. Starfield does everything right, except the most important parts.
Yeah,
that's what hits me. That's what gets me so bummed out about the game, is because it's so amazing, and then you're like, wait, that's it?
Yeah. Well, so meaning, what do you feel like are the most important parts?
It's a game about the meaning of the universe, and you get to the end, and it's literally a wormhole, and you talk to yourself, and you tell yourself, "Oh, none of it mattered."
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Don't even get me started on Neon.
Right. It's just about you get to the end of it, and it's just about doing it again. Which is
it's like what?
Yeah. Which is a cool concept. Never hang on. We'll talk about the ending later.
Yeah.
Okay, but so you didn't, I guess, Liam, you didn't enjoy did you feel like the end was corny of the UC thing where you meet, what's this
I
guy?
loved it. That guy is one of the scariest bad guys. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Delightful.
Dude, yeah. And
he was great.
Dude, he was such a great voice actor too.
But that's my point, is that the only weak spot is the Terramorphs themselves as a threat. Everything else, from him to the writing to the reveal of what Terramorphs actually are, that moment is horrifying.
Right.
Because the game so masterfully shows you every planet that humans have reached in the galaxy is screwed.
Well, that leads back to what I was saying about Crete. Like, they alluded to it, but you had to read the terminal.
Exactly.
Like, that's 30 minutes into the game?
Yep. And
if you're going slow.
And guess what? A lot of people miss this. A lot of people miss this really bad. The first place you land at when you're navigating, or when you're the first planet, I mean, unless you have already played the game and you know what you're doing already, but the first planet you land at with Barrett's ship,
Crete,
is that abandoned station with the Terramorphs. And you know what the first living creature you encounter in that station is? It's a heat leech that jumps out of a locker.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, when you're going to Mars.
The first living creature that you encounter on the planet where they were doing Terramorph xenoweapon research is a heat leech. And it's masterful storytelling. It's excellent because it makes you, the second you encounter the facility, you learn about Terramorphs after you've learned what a heat leech is.
They do.
And so,
they do mention the heat leeches a couple of times, which I thought was strange. And then obviously it was important that you know what heat leeches are.
Yeah. But that reveal at that point, it turns the pigeons all around you into government spies. You look around and you go, oh, all this harmless stuff around me is actually horrifying.
Yeah.
I said something about that earlier, how I feel like the bad guy for the UC had sent or tipped off the Crimson Fleet to destroy the facility or finish what's left because of the heat of finding that out. Because if you read the terminals, they allude to like the heat leeches evolving.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And then at the very top, you see the cage
that's
that
brilliant.
The Terramorph was in before it escaped. Because I play on the hardest setting, when I land on Crete, I always go out and explore a little bit, killing some of the wildlife to level up before I go in there. There is a Terramorph already on the planet. It is the one that escaped.
Oh, that's awesome.
I have video of me killing this thing at level 4 at a solar plant. It's out there. Still killing stuff.
Dude, that's
really cool.
But you have to go out and look for it.
Yeah. I remember the very I had just, this was September of last year. I had just sat down to play Starfield, and I remember the offer to join the army. Basically, that's UC Vanguard, and I was like, that's kind of cool. I liked that these factions began with there's a lot of ways that these quests could have kicked off, and I thought it was cool that they were like, oh, you have a job, and join the army. And of course, quickly it becomes, you're not joining the army, or you're not joining UC Vanguard. You're solving this case of the Terramorphs, and that first fight that you have with the Terramorphs, and then you come back, and in the middle of these meeting with the council members, the place gets invaded, and then it's oh, this new strange creature. and I've heard a lot of people say they think that the UC Vanguard quest could have been the main quest line for the game. And
absolutely.
Oh yeah, and I, we'll talk about the main quest in a minute, but I absolutely loved it, and I loved how Luke, like you were saying, how corrupt you found out the government when you found out that Bay Victus was really alive, and you found out you've been working with his daughter, and you have this option of like, do I tell her that her father is still alive? You just like
correction.
Sorry.
Correction. Bay Victus's super hot daughter.
They look the same. No. What are you talking about?
It's not a problem. No. Else, huh? Hey, I know you're literally a clone of that German guy, but we can make this work. But the thing is, I think that either the Crimson Fleet or UC quests could have been the main.
Well, he gives you the option when you go to turn in or go talk about the sample to the Vanguard guy. He's like, well, I had this other mission for you, which is going to help with the Crimson Fleet.
Okay.
Because the way I experienced the Crimson Fleet was I stole something on New Atlantis, and they're like, sucker. Well, if you play a good playthrough and you go talk to him about like going to find the scientist. He's like, well, I have this other thing for you too, if you want to go do it. And it's the Crimson Fleet story.
Yeah. Dude, it's such a genius way to drop you right in the middle of that quest was, yeah, you steal something and, hey, do you want to pay off your debt by going to work for SysDef? And speaking of SysDef, this was another just incredible quest because you're thrown into this, like, come on, who doesn't want to be a double agent? Like, over analyzing and thinking about all of your interactions. It's like, oh no, am I like, and then each time you have to report back to bald black guy, what's his name?
Akande.
We'll keep it at that.
Yeah.
Akande.
Yeah. Every time you have to report,
he's cool, by the way.
Yeah. But did anybody else get thrown in jail for like killing too many people?
Yes, no, I didn't do that.
I did. I've also did the full pirate thing where I've turned in all the evidence to turn everybody in, and then we go and then just turn coat and attack the Crimson Fleet. I was like, no, they're already on the ship. Let's go bust them out.
So I really wanted to actually talk about the whole getting arrested part as the way you start that. But what's really cool is that it was, hold on, what was it?
Getting arrested.
Yeah, well, yeah, I enjoy getting arrested, but I got arrested and started the quest line because I had contraband from Neon in my ship.
Oh, that's so funny.
That was part of a different quest. So it was really cool how the quest sort of like organically snowballed into each other.
It's like, hey, guess what? We found something.
Hey, want to do some covert ops for the Air Force?
It's like, hey, you literal criminal, would you like to help us catch more literal criminals?
Yeah.
And then they give you more contraband to start.
Yes, it's perfect.
We're
it's
just
amazing.
Gonna put more on your ship. Just go.
Yeah. Did y'all have a one of the reasons I was so pissed, I kept going back to Akande, and he was pissed every time because there's a mission on Neon, and I learned that your companion will just start shooting people, will just start killing people. If you don't tell them, or I think what you have to do, you have to give them a weapon that's non-lethal, or you have to tell them to just wait here, because they'll just it's like that meme, that Danny DeVito meme. So anyway, I started blasting. That is what your companion will do when there are enemies present.
I don't take any companions, to be honest with you. I never had that issue.
So check this out.
Introvert trait right here, baby.
Check this out. You guys will like this. Andrija doesn't. She is a stealth-focused companion. And so if you walk into any area, it's really cool because in stealth missions, she can turn invisible.
Oh, yeah, I've noticed
that. And so
I forgot about that. So
during the Ryujin quest line, I just brought her along the entire time because it didn't create any conflict at all. She would just turn invisible and wait for me to start a fight. It's super cool how the game makes you consider, like, hey, is my companion the right person to be bringing on a stealth mission right now. And it's really cool.
And of all people to not be killing people like Andreja.
Exactly. So it really deepens this sort of like crisis of faith that she has in her quest line. It's a very you see her experiencing like peaceful solutions to problems with you. It's very neat.
Yeah. Did y'all enjoy the Freestar quest line? So I think it starts out with like farmers. You're kind of investigating farmers, and then it leads all the way up to this big, massive corporate conspiracy involving Ron Hope. But did y'all like it? Not so much.
I liked it, but then again, like I said, I was an MP before, so kind of falling back into my old thing. Like, okay, let's go and investigate this. Let's go take out the bad guy, bring him to justice, and then finding out the bad guys were hired by him. I was like, okay, now it's clicking into place here.
Yeah.
So the Freestar quest line is another one of those key things for me about Starfield as a whole. So in the UC questline, you have to kill a remaining xenoweapon from the war. It's one of the, I don't remember what they're called, the blind monsters that's engineered to be a xenoweapon by the UC during the Colony War. And
but it's not a terramorph?
No, it's I don't remember what it's called. It's one of them. But the robot, the super badass Vasco Chad that you find, he can't follow you unless he completes his mission and kills it.
Okay.
And
it was on the planet you have to find them on, right?
Yes, on the trash planet. But you encounter it and you kill it, and it's just this echo. It's a still living echo of the Colony War. And then you get to the Freestar quest line, and you find out that the guy that is creating the problem was a mech pilot in the Colony War. And so in the UC quest line, you see banned technology present. You see the banned xenoweapon alive, and you have to fight it. And in the Freestar quest line, you have this hint like, hey, this guy's a mech pilot, and you've already seen that xenoweapons, some of them still exist. And it just created this feeling of like, am I going to have to fight a mech? Am I going to get to fight a guy in a mech?
And then it didn't happen.
And then you get there, and he's dude number 5, and you just shoot him, and that's it. And it's like, where's the mech? Yeah, you guys.
It did feel
on the trash planet. They're working on mechs.
Yeah.
And then I come here, and it's like, all right, the bad guy isn't in a mech. Also, the other bad guy is Jeff Bezos, and there's no recourse, and you can't do anything. And it's like, I love the space cowboy thing, but your bad guy is like,
it's disappointing.
The first took place in like a mech facility too. Like they had mechs and like the repair platforms and everything. Like they could have been used. Like that would have been great storytelling. But
and
then
they know how to.
If you're doing it at like level 5, maybe it wouldn't have been so fun. But I could see from like a design aspect why that would have been too much.
I would have settled.
We fought dragons at level 5 in Skyrim, so what do I know?
I would have settled for the upper half of a mech torso that's attached to a turntable. So it's like, it's not mobile, but you have to deal with this like stationary super boss that, it wouldn't take much extra work to make something that really delivers on that.
It's just playing like house music while it's shooting at you.
Well, I mean, it'd be awesome. No, I don't mean turntable like you know what I mean.
I know.
Yeah.
But like, they had such an opportunity to show, hey, a mech that cannot even move and might even already be damaged is this dangerous to fight. And it gives you that feeling of like, that's why they're outlined. That's why this is such a dangerous thing that can't. But they didn't.
We already saw terramorphs.
Yeah.
One bioweapon. It would have been cool to see the other main weapon.
Yeah, the other side of it.
On the other side.
Dude, but that as soon as we saw mechs, we'd be like, I need a mech.
I want to drive a mech. I want to drive it. And I think that's probably why they didn't do it.
It's the reason why they didn't give us vehicles in the first place other than a ship. I mean, we're getting rovers soon, which is great, but...
That was my one complaint about the exploration, is like, just give me a motorcycle or a quad or something that I can deploy. Give Vasco a seat.
A seat? Right,
I want to ride Vasco around. Like, come on, give me something to do.
Yeah, no, I want his big brother with the machine guns. Like, I wish I could have taken him around.
The problem is, I spent the entire campaign dealing with the fact that you take damage if you sprint too much when you're encumbered.
Yeah. You can't die, like, though. You can't die. I've gotten all the way down. You don't die, but it sucks. Yeah.
It's like
you're just really hurting.
Yeah.
And it would be cooler if there was a mass drop option, but there's not.
A mass sell option would be nice. Like
a mass sell option. The fact that there's a crafting system, but there's no dismantle all junk option is just ridiculous.
Oh, dude. And also, Fallout 4 did this so much better. Everything that I pick up in the world should be useful in some way. Otherwise, why have me picking up random desk plants and desk toys and like all this random shit? So
it's Chekhov's gun.
Yeah. So I didn't pick up anything. Like my second playthrough, I was like, well, I'm not picking up anything now except for guns and ammo and armor, you know, and med packs. Of course, got to have 99 med packs.
If you can find
once
them.
You get the rejuvenation perk, you don't need any of those.
Yeah, if you can find med packs.
Yeah.
Let me go buy the entire stock of 3 med packs from the hospital.
Oh yeah,
for $8,000.
For 18 grand, and then let me wait 24 hours so that he will restock again. Like,
aren't you a hospital?
Yeah.
For Jemison, for all of New Atlantis, you're the hospital, and I can buy, some Advil from you. Come on, guys.
Penicillin, not even Advil. Right.
Sorry, we won't get 3 more of those for another 24 hours. That did just remind me though. I love going around Jemison and talking to the security guards because
they're funny. They're hilarious.
Dude, I would sit there for 10 minutes and the security guard would never repeat himself. It was like unique dialogue options every single time. I was like, this is wild.
Man, this is nuts.
Okay, so one question. So well, first, were y'all scumbags like me at the end of Ryujin, and did y'all take the mind control perk?
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Dude, was that made being a pirate so much easier?
Dude, dude, it was a complete game changer when you could tell people. Like, I opened so many random doors because I realized you could just grab a guard and be like, "Hey, open that door."
Yeah.
Oh yeah. you can do that when you find locked places out in the world too. You're like, that's locked. Hey, you open that for me.
Yeah.
And then steal what's inside.
Yeah.
I had a. It was kind of a personal conundrum for me, but not really because I really wanted it. I accepted the mind control thing, but then used it to outlaw the mind control thing.
Yes. So you're the only one who has it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Boss move right there.
And it's because I know exactly how bad Ryujin is.
Right.
I know exactly what they've done.
Right.
And I'm also aware of the fact that, hey, if I was to encounter a terrorist or like some monster in real life and I could just tell him, hey, put the gun down, and he would, it's inexcusable to not take that option, to not be able to do that. And so I was like, yeah, give me the mind control. And now I'm going to make sure that you guys, the actual spy killers, aren't going to do that with other people. So it was cool. It was a fun little. Also, I have a crush on Imogen Salso because she kind of looks like my wife in real life. But
nice.
We'll just move past that,
dude. And it's like America with nukes. It's like, this is so dangerous that we can have them, but you guys can't.
Yeah, it's very like.
Yeah. How did y'all like I really like the kind of back and forth. I mean, it was like let's be honest, it was like office politics almost, like that whole quest line. But I did enjoy the kind of the new things that came to light, and you found out the one chick was like hiding stuff, and I think you could choose at the end of it to you pick like who you exposed, you know.
Oh, the Ryujin quest line was my favorite one in the whole game.
Oh wow,
easily.
Yeah,
100% my favorite one in the whole game.
Yeah.
It was because it was a very small. So I like to compare. It's the same thing with the Outer Worlds with its smaller story, like exploring area, but a deeper. Or Mass Effect is the best example of it. I think of it in two ways. You have Daggerfall with nothing in it. You have 1,000,000 miles to walk in any direction, and you'll find maybe some rocks. And then you have a cramped little alleyway with 100% detail and a deep plot and a reason to be there. And I really liked the Ryujin questline because it was that cramped little alleyway. This is a very small, very short questline. It's not some globe-trotting crazy adventure, but every single option has ramifications. All the characters have dialogue that interacts with what you do and how it plays out. And so it was a very extremely immersive questline. It was delightful.
Yeah. Anything with that many double crosses and you thought this guy was good and they're bad, I mean, all of the good quest lines have a lot of double crosses, but definitely Ryujin in particular.
Yeah, it was cool. Really cool.
I think they missed the mark about when you go through being Starborn and you come into a new universe. If you go back into the Ryujin quest line, I wish that when you went to go undertake the surgery again, they'd be like, how'd you get this? You already have it.
Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious.
You see what I'm saying?
The funniest thing in the world.
I completely was thinking about that. I was like, oh, that would have. Then Ryujin would have a completely different quest line and a different.
They'd have a meltdown, and you have to stop some militant Ryujin.
I think that would have been great writing, and most people would never most outlets would never have gotten that far.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, we're here to install this chip in your brain next to the one that's already there.
I can see the look on her face. She reminds me of Mindy Kaling in the Mindy Project. I could see the expression on her face.
It's like,
what?
Well, we made you more psychic.
Yeah.
We have a second one. You can also do it to animals now.
Yeah. You can move houses. Don't know how you can do that, but you can.
Yeah,
you can build a ship that's longer than 40 meters long.
This new technology that we're developing right now is already in your head somehow. Yeah, I was curious what other quests were affected, because obviously the coming back in as Starborn affects your stuff with Constellation quite a bit. But I was curious what other how being Starborn would affect some of these other quests.
So I actually have a suspicion about that.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll save it for when we talk about the end of the game. I think I'll save it. I think I'll save it till then.
Okay.
Remind me of the multiverse thing.
Okay. Okay. So question number 5: did you feel the dialogue and the stories in the game were well done?
Yes.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
I mean, some of these quest lines you would do just kind of felt half-baked. I mean, the main storylines are obviously the ones that they took the most care of, so they offered the most dialogue between characters. Like when you go to do the Crimson Fleet, you have the idiot over here that's against you from the start, and then he's like, oh, I want to be your friend later on. But then you go in and do the bounty hunting quests for Galbank. If you go talk to the teller, he'll have you go and go after these creditors, go after these people that have they loan money to, and it just hey, give back the money. Done. That's it. There's no how can I help you get the money you need? Or
right.
They could have done more with some of these minor missions.
Yeah. Hey, Liam, do you know we're getting a little bit of feedback from your mic? Do you know why? Oh, that fixed something. Or it did for a second.
Yeah, I muted my mic. Let me see if I can't figure something out really quick.
Okay.
Is it like a buzz or a hum or a white noise or something?
It's kind of like a hum. Are you on headphones right now?
I'm on my phone and I'm on headphones. Let me see if I can do this.
Well, if there's extra audio coming from somewhere, just
I'll be right back.
Yeah, I think a lot of the like we were talking about, a lot of these quests to me felt like really linear because like so I'm trying to remember the choice that you made at the end of UC Vanguard. Wasn't it like, what was the choice at the end of UC Vanguard? Like you can either reveal some information or you can
You could rat out Ve Victus or say, "Oh, it was the other guy."
right, but it wasn't like a choice that would affect the game like a lot.
The only thing it would have, you still got it.
All right, man. Dang it.
Hear it, but
It's okay, dude.
But like Ve Victus dies at the end if you rat him out, like they kill him off.
Right, yeah.
But other than that, like it doesn't really do much for the main storyline.
Right.
He didn't die in mine.
It's because you didn't kill him.
Yeah. Well, no, I ratted him out, but then didn't kill him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I guess but Liam, we were just saying how it didn't affect, like there wasn't like a major effect to the story of the game for any of the choices that you made for any of these, you know.
Yeah, it's Schrodinger's Warlord. They have this monster in a box, and it doesn't matter if the box doesn't open or not. You never really see any effects afterwards.
That's interesting. Is that what that's called?
No, it's Schrodinger's cat is either dead or alive until you open the box, but Ve Victus might be dead or alive, and it doesn't matter because you'll never see any evidence either way.
Oh, interesting. I like that. Yeah, so I think with regards to these, okay, it's interesting that as soon as I finished Outer World, I wanted to play it again. But as soon as I finished it also took me like 5 times as long to beat Starfield than it did Outer Worlds. But it's interesting that once I got to the end of Starfield, I wasn't like, oh, I immediately want to play it again. And I think it's because so many of these main quests did feel pretty linear. Like I was happy with what happened, and it didn't feel like the it's pretty obvious to, or I guess, Luke, not in your case, Crimson Raiders, but I feel like it's obvious, like, oh yeah, you gotta side with C-Step and Sistep, and I guess I felt like a lot of the choices that you made, I wasn't super curious to immediately go back and play it again and try like a different option. So I don't know.
But that's the whole role-playing side. Like, I feel like I can go in there and find my own fun, whereas a lot of people couldn't do that. And I get that. Like, the same reason why people go and replay Cyberpunk. Like, they're playing it for fun. Right. The role-playing aspect is what's fun to me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I guess I kind of expressed further the dialogue, you know, lacking an asshole option and things like that. Liam, did you want to add anything else about this?
So the thing with the dialogue, and it's the reason I said yes, even though I despise the dialogue so much. Well-cooked tofu is still tofu. And I really, really like the way they handled a lot of the dialogue. I really like the way that they did a lot of the things, because despite the fact that there's no sarcastic asshole option, in a lot of ways you have room to sort of explore different dialogue pathways. You can see like different ways to handle things. But man, I just don't care enough about a lot of it to do it again. Solve the problem. It's like, hey, does this drop a whole bunch of XP? No. Does it give you a bunch of money? No. Do you get a cool companion? No. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna blow up your planet and just loot whatever's left and go off and do something else.
Yeah. That is what real life Sam would do as well.
Yeah, that's precisely. That's exactly.
Yeah. No, I feel
that is why we're all here, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I feel you. I see what you're saying. I think like the analogy. I don't know if y'all ever saw The Office when Michael Scott was talking about. Do you want a small amount of really good pizza or like a lot of average pizza? And I think Starfield sometimes has the average pizza problem with its dialogue. It's like there's a lot of quests that I was just kind of like meh about, like the faction quests were, to me, the best part of the game. Like, the faction quests were my favorite. Gripping, they kept me interested. I was absolutely gripped from beginning to end on the faction quest. But like when you wander, a lot of the quests in Neon weren't that interesting. A lot of the random quests in some of the cities weren't interesting. Like, definitely when you wander off on a random planet and find like abandoned outpost number 27, like there's nothing gripping that's gonna happen there.
Yeah, I heard Neon and leaned in towards the screen. Oh my gosh, Neon makes me want to throw my remote at the screen,
dude. It's freaking Cyberpunk, so I was like, surely there's like seedy. I mean, like you could make make that drug, but like, what was the point of that quest other than just come back and make more drugs?
Yeah, my thing, and I have I could rip Starfield apart just based on Neon with no other. So the thing is, it's a game, and I'm going to just say this before anybody in the audience says, "Oh, of course the gamer wants it to be horny." No, it's a game about the meaning of life.
Yeah,
and you go to a pleasure city in a game about finding the meaning of life as it relates to morality and whether or not peace and war are feasible between people, whether or not economies can sustain themselves or rise or fall in terms of like GalBank in the face of corruption. And you see that entire situation. And then you go into the most exclusive club, the craziest, biggest club in the pleasure city on a planet where only one city exists. And it is that pleasure city. And you walk in and the dancers are dudes with dad bod in that squid costume.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
And
I thought it would look good.
I don't want the game to be some ridiculous pornographic thing.
Right.
But the reason I like Cyberpunk so much is exactly the same reason I hate Cyberpunk so much. And it's because it's a realistic depiction of what human beings would do if they had sex as an option.
Yeah.
And then you get to Neon and you're like, "Oh, I didn't realize that everybody in Starfield is celibate."
Yeah, it's weird.
And then the biggest thing that bothers me, because I wouldn't be upset about it if they had just said, "We're trying to leave that out. We're trying to make it a little more of a kid-friendly experience." And then you romance a companion.
Mm-hmm.
And then you fall asleep with that companion present. And you wake up and you hear that companion say the most lurid, viscerally descriptive thing.
Right.
Like, you're like, okay, there's no sex in this game. And then you wake up and your companion says, "Man, my hips still hurt." And you're like, "Holy crap, what did you just say to me?"
Yeah. There is. It's like there is sex in this world. So why is it? Why is it completely missing from Neon?
Yeah, and I'm not trying to make the game nasty. It's a game about philosophy, and you don't have sexuality in it.
Yeah. You're saying it's not a believable.
It's completely that detail on its own is not important to me. Yeah. But the fact that it's totally missing. And it's such a key thing in human history and human philosophy and psychology and economics and everything. It just totally removes it's like one tire of the car is missing.
Yeah. And I too absolutely adore Cyberpunk. And so I was really excited when I got there. I was like, "Oh yes, this is like my Cyberpunk city." Like,
we're going to Night City.
Yeah, we're going to Night City. Like, surely there's some seedy stuff for me to get involved in. And it's like, what? There's like 2 quests here? Like, really?
It's like, oh, there's some LSD and some sort of half good, like, EDM music playing.
Yeah. It was very politically correct and weird that they. But guys, have some hot chicks here. Like, even from a standpoint of like, it's just not realistic. Like, I wouldn't. Nobody, man nor woman, would want to go to a club and like look at that.
Yeah, it's just completely unrealistic. I can't stress enough. Like, I think that a lot of video games are dramatically over sexual for no reason. I don't like it as a general rule of thumb, but a total lack of it is even more upsetting because it just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
There's definitely a good balance that could have been achieved, and they missed the mark on Neon.
You know, if I had a kid, I wouldn't want them playing Cyberpunk until they're old enough to understand some things.
Right.
But I also wouldn't want them playing Starfield because it would give them exactly the opposite problem.
Right. Of like, this is
of a universe where you can look at morality and consider sexuality as a total non-issue.
Oh, don't let him play Baldur's Gate.
Oh, believe me, Baldur's Gate.
That's just off the deep end.
Baldur's Gate is fantastic, dude.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. So what aspects of the core gameplay did you guys either really love or really hate? And let's just cover like things like crafting, combat, base building, and ship building, like anything that I haven't talked about yet that like you felt like was really strong or really weak.
I thought the ship building was really strong. That's the whole reason why I play like some of my role playing is to earn the money doing a job